about technology, because at this point all phones should be away. Thank you. That's where technology gets in the way sometimes, as we had a little discussion about it. You know, technology is not good or bad in and of itself, but there are always a lot of questions about how about technology, how it can be used, how it changes us, and that's kind of what we're going to get into with this project here. So part of the idea behind this is that you guys are going to become experts in your particular area of technology. So I want to walk you through a couple things. Probably you've talked about this in class, but I want to walk you through a couple things. I need everybody, even in the back, just paying attention this way. Even in the back. Even in the back. There we go. Thank you. Saw some people just kind of hanging out there. So a couple things. First of all, I know I asked this before, but I'm going to ask you again. How many people have seen this website? Okay. All right. You guys know, I mean, one of the things that you will encounter over the course of your time in Blue Ridge is that we try to put together websites for your project. Part of this is that as you progress and you get into online courses, either in this program or beyond, you're going to find that you are going to be you'll need to know how to do this. And the main thing is you need to make sure that you are reading and following directions correctly. That is a major league skill that we hear a lot about when people don't do it correctly. So, you know, you get to the college environment, I'll tell you straight up, there are a lot of people that will not accept a paper if you don't do it the way that they want it done. They just won't even accept it. No, too bad, zero. So we're trying to get you kind of into that, that mode of thought about how do I go in here, make sure that I'm reading these things correctly, and make sure that I'm getting the information. So I'm not going to go through and read this website to you, but I do want to talk about a couple of things that are specific to the project that you really need to have in your head as you go into this. So at this point, you have your assigned topics, you're doing research, you're going to be writing a paper about this. You don't know at this point whether you're going to be pro or con, correct? You're not going to find that out until after you've become an expert on this topic. So that information will go out later after you've written the paper. So when is your paper due?
32 days.
32 days. What is the date in 32 days? Fortunately for you guys, we put it on a website so you don't actually have to have it burned into your brain, but you need to know where to find that. March 31st. That seems like a long way away. It's not. And what you don't want to do, you don't want to procrastinate. You don't want to wait until that last second, because we were just talking about this with another group the other day. We were showing some research on this. There actually is a lot of research around. A lot of people say, oh, I do my best work at the last minute before a deadline. It's not true. That is completely research-based. So your paper is going to be due, and then at that point, you're going to get your pro and con assignments. One thing to know about this, how long does the paper have to be? 1,000 words to 1,500. So that's your primary thing here is your research paper assignment. You know all of this stuff. You're going to have academic sources. Ms. Carr is going to talk to you a little bit about doing some analysis about sources, what's a valid versus not valid source. So all your requirements are here. What should you do if you're not sure about one of these requirements?
Consult with your teacher.
Consult with your teacher. If your teacher's not sure, what would be a good next step after that?
Consult with Mr. Caraway.
Consult with Mr. Caraway. I am found virtually easily. You just start typing my name, and you guys can find me and email me. But always start with your paper first, or with your teacher first when you're looking at these requirements. I want to just point out one thing on this, and that has to do with your the topics themselves and the scenarios. Each of the topics that you guys have has a context, because these are real questions that people need to answer. So, for example, for the video games topic, who's video games people here? Video games way in the back. All the video game people hang out in the back and play the video games. That's what's happening. We got over here. All right. So you guys have a context, and this is a real world context. If you're running a community center, you've got to figure out, is this a valid use of people's time? If you've got teenagers or younger kids staying in your community center after school, is this a valid use of their time? Is it a good thing or a bad thing? And it is not a question with a simple yes or no. You know, these decisions have to be based on, you heard, you know, from Dr. Penholler, there's a lot of context to these things, you know, in terms of impact and how they play out. So you need to have that scenario in there. That one of the things, and this is one area that we've seen some issues with when people are writing their papers, they kind of lose track of that scenario. Your introduction should start with it, and your paper should contain a reference and specific suggestion in relation to that. After you get, after you've done your papers, look at these scenarios, make sure you have a good understanding, then you're going to get into the presentation part. We'll send out, you know, it's got information in here, but essentially what we're going to be coming back together to do is to have not so much of a debate in terms of people trying to win one side or another, but to make sure that we are presenting the full gamut of both sides of the argument. So it's going to require really good arguments. And one of the things about really good arguments is they are not vague. They're not like just putting something out there. So going back to the paper assignment, I think there's an example on that page. You could, if you were talking about, let's see if it's in there. Here we go. If you're talking about support for your arguments, if you're talking about high fructose corn syrup, you can make a statement like people who eat a lot of food containing high fructose corn syrup tend to be more overweight and have more cavities. That's very general. What is really compelling when you're making an argument for or against something is to find the actual research, find the people who did the studies, and it's easy to do. One of the things we'll get a little bit of information on here is research information, but a statement that contains specifically where this information came from, in this case, study by the University of Long Island, it talks about very specific, have 12% more body fat, 22% more cavities than those who do not consume high fructose corn syrup. That's a compelling argument. That's the kind of stuff you guys want to not only do for your papers, you want to make sure you have that kind of information going into your papers, but when you're standing up and presenting to the audience, when you guys are doing your presentations later this spring, that's the kind of information you want to bring into that as well. So as you go into this, you know, you're going to be working with your teachers, working with lots of resources and kind of getting your expertise together and putting these things together. But you want to think in terms of what are the most compelling arguments that you can find based on research that's out there. So do any of you guys have any questions about the project at this point? That's pretty good. Ms. Carr, you ready to talk a little bit about sources? It's not us. Yeah. All right. That's got to be the Louisa people. Oh, you want to? You need a question? Okay. Well, I don't have one up here.
No worries, no worries. Hey, listen, the last time I was here, I think I talked to you about evaluating resources, and I'm going to kind of talk similarly about that topic today. For this project, it is very, very important when you go to find your sources for your information. Mr. Caraway just spoke about how important it is to use statistics. Statistics will help you back up your facts. In 2017, anybody who follows the news understands that there is not real news and there is news. So what you need to make sure you do is definitely fact check yourself. Fact check your own sources, because there's a lot of things out there that are intended that are not put out there for not great reasons. So first thing I want to talk about is, what is bias? What does bias mean? Freitas, what do you mean by that? You already have an opinion about something. Anybody else want to add to that? Yes, sir. Okay, or a certain something, not necessarily a party. Anything else? What is the point of bias? What are you trying to do? Yes. Very good. Okay, so here's the official definition. American Heritage Dictionary: a preference or an inclination, especially one that inhibits impartial judgment. Impartial, so you're trying to persuade people to think the way you think. So we're going to look at two different examples here. Speaking of bias, I think I actually had this ready for you the last time I was here. We didn't get to do it. I hope my memory's not failing me and we did do it. If we did, just pretend like we haven't. So author's purpose. When you're looking at a website, this is what you need to do. Think of pies, good old chocolate right here in the belly. What is the author's purpose? Is it intended to persuade you? Is it intended to inform you? Is it intended to entertain you? Or is it intended to try to sell you something? So we're going to look at bias in this right here. Boston Massacre #1. All right, so I'm going to call on some people. Yes, sir. Tell me what you see in this picture. All right, so we see, he said, I'm going to repeat for him, he says we see a fight between, well, apparently people with uniforms on one side and people not uniforms on the other. So it looks like some sides do they have weapons? Which side has weapons? Both sides have weapons, very good. So we have guns on one side, looks like sticks and things on the other. Okay, good. So this was done by Alonzo Chappell. I don't know if it's Chappell, Chappell, I don't know. 1873. So what do you notice that this is the Boston Massacre? When did that happen? Anybody know what the time period? Late 1700s. What's going on? What's getting ready to happen? American Revolution. So 1873. What did this guy have a chance to do?
Recreate the picture.
Learn about it from many different perspectives, correct? Because it's way after the American Revolution. The Boston Massacre actually happened in 1770. So this is one perspective. Now let's look at this one. All right. What do you see in this one? Let me walk over here. Alex, what do you see? Only the redcoats have weapons in there. Okay, so we see one side has weapons, and they are literally massacring the other people. And what makes this picture look so bad for the redcoats? They're not being attacked. Okay, so if we go back, we look at this. How does these two pictures differ? Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
The first one, the redcoats is they don't look unified, and the second one, it looks like they're being told by a commanding officer to fire on the people.
Very good. This just looks like a huge brawl right in the middle of the street, right? So this one has to me, it's more objective because it shows two parties just kind of going at it. And this one right here, obviously, who's intended to look like the bad guys in this picture? The redcoats. Okay, does anybody know who did this engraving? No, not Ben Franklin. Good guess, though. Paul Revere. Nice job. So what else do you know about Paul Revere? He was the guy that did the what? The lantern. The British are coming. The British are coming, right? Okay, so yes, Mariah. Shh. He was pro-revolution, so he was a patriot. So that's why this is intended. This picture, this is propaganda. What is propaganda? Persuasive again. You try to get people to think like you do. Now, the word Boston Massacre. That in itself, the name of this event is actually propaganda. When you think of, when I say propaganda, when I say massacre, what do you think of?
The slaughtering of hundreds
Large
of
number
people.
of people getting killed. Does anybody know how many people were killed here?
8.
5 people were killed. So that in itself is propaganda because they're trying to get you to see that these guys are the bad guys. Okay? So now let's move forward. When you're looking at a website, here's some things to consider. Is the information presented in a fair and objective manner? Has some information been left out? Can the facts be verified with other sources? That's just like a fact check. Make sure if you find something on a website, how many other websites should you look at to make sure it's true?
2.
At least 2 others, so 3 total. What is the tone of the language used, and is it free from emotion, arousing words? Are there pictures and photos which may arouse emotion? Is the appearance of the website appealing and colorful with lots of graphics, animation, slogans? Do you think this is a good thing? Do you think this is a good indicator? No, it's not. Does the website contain advertising? Those are all things that are going to lead you to think that you might want to second guess this source. All right, so now, these links work. All right. Okay. So, we're going to look at some websites here, and I want you to just think about these for just a second. And I want you to understand that if you follow the news, it's very, very hard for me to find websites that have bias that are not political, because most websites now have some biasness, whatever. So this is a website about what?
Holocaust.
What about it?
It never happened.
Okay, so let me tell you an interesting story. When I was researching this information for today, one of the things that I found is Google actually had a problem, actually had to redo their search engines. When you type in, I was typing in, did the Holocaust exist? And so what happened is when you type that in and you get a list of sources, right? So if I'm type in, did the Holocaust exist? And Google gives me a list of sources. What do you automatically think about the first top sources? They're the best, right? Okay, and they're probably more reliable. Good. So with this, with the Holocaust denial deal, when it was typed up, when I typed in, did the Holocaust exist? They've changed it. Google actually changed it. But the first thing that came up at some point when you typed in that phrase was an anti-Holocaust website. So what does that lead people to believe? That it didn't exist. So this is definitely a site that you would not want to use. Not we're doing the Holocaust, but I'm just showing you different sites that definitely have bias. All right, this one's. Oh yeah. All right, I'm hoping you can see this one. This one's funny because it goes right along with our semester project from last time. Okay, this source looks pretty good, right? Okay, so I actually had to look at it twice because I didn't read the whole thing. Again, important. You don't want to just read parts of a website. So let's go down here to the Explorer's A to Z. Let's start off with let's start with Balboa. Okay, so first paragraph looks pretty good, right? 1457 Spanish. Saw the Panama, all good. All right, let's scroll down. What does it say next? He was born in Mexico. He's an Olympic fencing champion. So every single one of these guys, every single one of them has false information.
Exactly. It makes it fake like that.
All right, so Columbus.
That's not.
Well, look at the first one.
Born in 1951,
Where?
Sydney, Australia.
What's false about that?
Well, you were born in Spain.
And where was he born? Where was he born?
Spain.
Italy, good. All right, my kids know I'm a dog lover, so this is one of my favorites. So this is all about Dog Island. You can send your dogs to a better life on Dog Island.
They're healthier dogs. They live natural, healthy, and happy lives.
So this is intended to sell you something. All right, so the last one. All right, now this one is very interesting. When we used to take you guys to UVA, the guys at UVA actually use the site. So this is a hospital site. Does this look professional?
Yes.
Does it look everything okay?
Yeah.
All right, what is that telling you right now?
That is reliable.
What is it about?
Male pregnancy.
Male pregnancy, exactly right. So this is another false site. Even though it looks awesome. I'll show you.
Let's see that again. I didn't catch that.
Yeah, it's coming up.
I did not catch that.
It's coming up next.
This is an actual hospital.
Medical hospitals come medical breakthroughs.
There it is. First human male pregnancy, first successful application of nanotechnology. So, and you're searching, be very careful and be very skeptical of all your sources. Thank you. And if you need a place to send your dog, Dog Island.
There's nothing wrong with Dog Island. They live healthier lives. They live healthier lives.
Okay, guys, listen up, please. Mine will not be as interesting and exciting, but it might be more helpful in terms of when you actually get into doing research. I want to show you a couple of resources that are on our website that should make this a lot easier for you. One of them that goes right along with what Ms. Carr was just talking about is under our resources link. VCU just came out with a fantastic site on helping you evaluate sources that you find. They have a great video. I'm not going to take time to show it to you right now, but I've sent it to all of your teachers. I highly recommend watching it. It really takes you through kind of what you need to think about when you have a source and you're having a hard time figuring out if it's a viable, credible academic source or not. Additionally, over here on this menu, they have really good resources that talk about the different types of sources you can find and how to evaluate them, especially the one that talks about evaluating websites and kind of the criteria they use at the VCU libraries. You know, it's just excellent, excellent material. The other one is right below it called Google Search Resources. These are technically like lessons for teachers to teach you guys how to be better searchers on Google, how to really find what you're looking for and not just generic Google search terms. You don't need to go through all the lessons, but looking at them will give you a lot of hints. Because what do most of us do when we want to search something on Google? You just type it in and hope something comes up good. I want to show you guys a couple of things that you can think about when you're using Google. If I only want resources and results from academic institutions, does anyone know how I do that? Right. If I want a specific university, I would use whatever their URL. But if I want to know about canine Lyme's disease, but I only want articles, oh, no, go back. But I only want articles from universities. If I do site:/edu, oh, hold on. There we go. So these are, you notice, look at all the URLs under all of my results. They're all from academic institutions. Does that mean we automatically believe them as academic sources? No, because every university student has an account where they can post a website that has that. But it's a good start to look at, and then you go through the process of evaluating it. How would I find search terms that might also apply to this? I don't know if any of you have ever scrolled down to the bottom of your results, but Google tells you. If that was your initial search, here might be other searches that you might want to try, different ways to word it or different words to use. They also, if you look in the results they give you, certain words will be bold. It's not necessarily your search term. So you notice that in a lot of them, the word dog is bolded. So if you're trying to find something, look at the results that you get to see if there's another term you could use and use that term to search. Because a lot of words can be used interchangeably. If you get so stuck on the specific search that you're doing, you're going to have a really hard time. I'm going to be sending out a Google Doc to all of you that has a lot more of these examples of how to search and different terms, how to use. I know a lot of you probably know how to use the minus sign, but what does that really mean? How to use wildcards in your searches. The OR function, people don't really think about it, but it's a really handy way to find good data. Does anyone know how to find results only from a certain time period? Let's see if he's right. That's one way, is advanced search, right? Hold on, let me. So you can go in when you're on a Google search page. Let's see, where did they put it now? There it is. Under settings, there's advanced search, where it'll let you put in a lot more stuff, but there's an even easier way. If you're in a search and you only want articles from a certain time period, you put in the date, 2 periods, not 3, just 2, and then kind of your date range, and your responses will only be from that time period. So if you're looking at something where you want population data or something like that, this really helps you narrow in to find results only from that time period.
Hey, listen, you guys, when you're doing your research, your finding statistics, please make sure that you're conscious about the fact that they need to be updated.
Yep.
Up-to-date information. So you guys quoting statistics from
90.
1990, it's not necessarily relevant anymore, because that's old news.
Yes. So I'll be sending that document out. Definitely scan through it. Your teachers will have access to these resources too. And like I said, they're on our website. So please really think about it. If you're having a hard time finding stuff, shoot me an email with what your topic is and what you're looking for. And I am more than happy to help you and send some examples back.
Thank you, Ms. Allen. Thank you, Ms. Allen. Last thing we're going to talk about today in relation to this is obviously you guys are going to be working. Right now you're doing your research and you're writing, you're becoming experts on your own. You're going to be coming together with the other experts in your class and working as a team to get your presentation together. And there's a lot of things that did a teamwork project in the fall. Almost everything that we do has a teamwork aspect to it. And one of the things that we hear from our graduates that's been is that is a very helpful skill set to have when you get to a college setting. So the last thing we're going to do is Mr. Reynolds is going to come and talk with you a little bit about teams and team process here. So, Mr. Reynolds, all yours. Yay, Mr. Reynolds. You need clicker. Wow. You need that?
Probably not, but all right. I'll throw it on there anyway.
Okay. All right, let's talk about the importance of teamwork.
Cannot work in teams often struggle to find and keep work. You'll see that when you get out in the real world. So you guys tell me, where are teams found? Somebody raise their hands. Yes. Construction sites, very good. Sports. Excellent. Other ideas? Oh, there's our sports. How about all the clubs that we're involved with? Yep. Yep, very good. Military, yep. Excellent. Courthouse. And a lot of that falls under the business side. Why are teams useful? Raise your hand. Give me something why teams should be useful. Yep. Very good. There's several people working together. More ideas will come out. Speak loud. Yep. Very good. Yep. More efficient. You don't have to do all the work. Problem solving. Can get more stuff done. Excellent. Excellent. Did we hit that one? Yeah, not exact wording, but we hit it. Oh, we caught that one, didn't we? Of course. We didn't talk about that as much, did we? But it is more interesting to work with people. It can be more frustrating sometimes, but it is more motivating and interesting. And of course, they're useful when you need to save the world, too.
Of course. Indeed, that is true.
All right, I'm going to need a team of 5 people. Now, it's not going to be you guys. You're going to come up with a team based on some personalities. So what I'd like you to do, since this is such a big crowd, let's see if we can figure this out. We are Governor's School students after all. Let's see if you guys can figure this out. With fairly minimal movement, what I want you to do, the first, 3rd, 5th, 7th, and 9th rows, those are odd numbers. You're going to turn your chairs just right in place and turn them around and face the people behind you. See if we can figure out how to do this. Everybody's all comfortable. All right, excellent job. All right, now here's where the teams are. You're going to group every 3 sets. So these chairs are in groups of 9 across the row, I think, 8 or 9 or so. So if you want to curve in a little bit so that you have your group of 6, it might be 5 or 6, depending on if there's an empty chair or whatever. Group of 6-ish, group of 6. Does that make sense? Yeah. There's 6 of you. Somebody needs to get out a piece of paper and something to write with. All right, take a look up here. Those of you facing away, I know it's a little bit harder to look up here. But take a look. There's going to be a difficult task that I'm going to give you. I'm not going to tell you what it is. And I need the best possible team. So I'm going to give you a list of people's characteristics. You need to choose on a team of 5. I know some of you have groups of 6, but realize this is just a team of 5 that I want to do this difficult task for. Are you ready? Here's one of the characteristics. Here's another one.
Don't point at the hands.
No. Good idea.
I'm like all the I am a good job.
Great viewer. Great listener.
I'm Boba.
Good. Just come back up.
No. Yes. Hey, practice with the hands on the
Quiet is
That's
Anna.
All right. I should have been more specific. You weren't supposed to raise your hands when you saw yourself up there. Just kidding. But anyway, all right, I'm going to give you a couple minutes, just a couple minutes for your group to discuss and write down the 5 different people that you want to put on this team that I need. I need that best team. So go ahead and talk to your group.
Great talking. Great talking. Great doer. Great listener. Oh my God. As their downside.
Right there. Let's read. I know where you have it. But there.
Very good. You want 5 people? What's 5 people?
Can I read my list now?
You got 5?
Well, please, because I fit all those categories.
You have the lefty right. That's good.
I do. I love it. You are the first.
All right. All right. All right, everybody. We have a volunteer to read off their 5 that this team. Stand up. Read those 5 off.
Has good ideas to share. Good listener. Very practical. Good at hands-on jobs. Loves to be in charge and can work with others. Argues with everyone, but very fast and efficient.
Very good. Another volunteer. All right, go ahead. Stand up nice and loud.
Loves to be in charge of work, but can work with others also. A great talker, full of inspiring ideas, but not great at common sense. Very practical, they're good at hands-on jobs, and has good ideas to share.
Very good. One more. Right here. Stand up nice and loud.
Loves to be in charge of work with big also. Great doer, very practical, good at hands-on jobs, has good ideas to share. Good at finishing a job, but not so good at starting.
Very good. I don't think any one of those 3 groups was exactly the same, was it? Yeah, everybody's got some different ideas with these things. So you just told me some of your teams. We didn't get a little bit less time than we're working with, so we're not going to talk about why, but I'm sure you guys have talked a little bit about why you've chosen your group. Here is the task. Dun, dun, dun. Imagine your search and rescue team has arrived at a camping ground by the beach where a young child has gone missing. It's nearly easy. Search is being organized to find the child. All the equipment's ready. Track is leading away from the beach. It's narrow. The terrain is rough and rugged. Cliffs are reported to be unstable. Are you scared yet? So we can only send a small group of 5 people to be the initial search party. I'll have to use the rest of the people that have come around later. Check with your group again. We'll give you a couple more minutes to see if you need to make any changes to your search and rescue.
No, we're good.
You can't do that, Rebecca.
Yeah, but it works. I know why. No, she's like, you. Yeah, if you do that, well, no, but it was inefficient.
All right. Very good, very good. First, I'd like to ask, is there anybody that didn't make any changes to their team? All right, can you read off your team? Somebody, oh, you guys read your team off, so you're good. You guys didn't? Let's hear what they stand up, speak loud.
Loves to be in charge but can also work with others, a great doer, a great talker, very practical, good at hands-on jobs, good at finishing a job but not so good at starting.
What do you think? That'd be a good search and rescue team? Oh, I started a debate, didn't I?
Let's say if you're on an unstable cliff.
All right. What I'd like you to do now, what I want the teachers to do if they could, if the teachers could walk around to as many groups as they can get to and ask them that same question. Did you make any changes? And why did you make those changes from one person to the other? So we'll do that walking around here. You guys making the changes? So your team's ready for anything.
But the only person that escaped is, you don't understand the
No, he was like, he grabbed him, like, you're not.
All right. Here we go. Back into the swing of things. Some good discussions going on. It's really cool. You guys will have to have some of these similar discussions when you're working as a team on your project. So you'll have different personalities and things like that that you need to deal with, and you have to understand those types of things. So I wonder what the most popular choices for team member characteristics were. If you've got a phone that can go to the internet, I'd like you to type in this little tiny URL. It'll take you to just one person from each team does it. One person from each team. Just one person from each team. Just one.
everyone. After my water, Walmart just, yeah. Now you're about to get
Is that a required question? Don't worry about the team numbers. We didn't do that one. Just pick any team number. It doesn't matter. Pick any team number. It doesn't matter. You all submit? Everybody good? Everybody submitted? So do you think some of those characteristics would be different for different tasks?
Yeah.
Because you probably picked according, as soon as you found out what the difficult task was, you started thinking, wait, maybe this person wouldn't be good for a search and rescue team, even though they might be good for something else, right? Because that's what you picked originally. And it's the same type of question there. So can somebody give me some one of these up here, if you raise your hand, that might be good for any kind of task? It would be a great person to have on your team. Yep. A great doer. A great doer. What do you think? Loves to be in charge. What was it? All right. Yep.
Has good ideas to share.
Has good ideas to share. Last one. Very practical for hands-on jobs. Okay, so these are the types of things you think about when you have to put together a team. I know you guys did this when I first put up all the personalities. You started picking each other out for these. What is your own personality like?
Probably so.
Do you have one?
I do.
Or do you fit a bunch?
I fit a bunch.
You fit the
Oh.
Yeah, he really does.
All right, let's take a look.
100%. Loves to be in
That's amazing.
Everyone uses that one.
100% loves to be in charge. Has good ideas. Great doer. Those are the top three.
If you're showing it, won't you?
Interesting.
Interesting that a great talker and a quiet achiever were the same amount.
I don't know why you guys didn't pick disappears when the drawing gets.
No, that's the kid who got lost.
Oh.
It's like too much work for me. How about? Well, we're gonna go take a walk again.
All right. The important thing to take out of this is that you are working in teams, and you have some people in a different school that are also working on that same topic. Even though you may not be directly working with them, you still have a bunch of personalities, and some of you are more complex. Some of you are kind of simple. Oh, no, I think they said you were complex.
He's very complex.
So you have to deal with that when you're working in groups like this and in teams. And this will happen every year with governor's school. You'll be grouped with other people as in ninth grade. And if you had issues then, maybe you've changed, maybe you've matured, maybe it'll still be the same issues. But knowing people's personalities is pretty important as far as, well, how are they going to get the job done? Are they just a quiet achiever? Or what kind of personality are they? So it's good to get to know how those folks are. All right, so there's your little exercise on teamwork. Now let's see if you can individually be able to move your chair to face up again.
Yeah.
I did this.
It's like a parallel parking. It's just a hair. Yeah.
You need to buy a Ford Fusion then.
Yeah.
You need to buy a Ford Fusion. So the park yourself. Let's just stay here until 3:20.
Nice try.
I don't want school anymore. I don't want to go to school today.
How's everybody doing?
Pretty good.
So I'm in on the other end of the
Oh,
text.
Oh.
he's talking to
Who are you
Oh,
texting?
he's good. He wants to know if I have food for him.
Oh.
And so I told him, yeah, I can get some, but surprise, I'm not in the lunchroom.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. So hopefully, after a little time together today, you've got a little bit better sense about just the concept of ethics and technology. We're going to be, it actually is always it's really interesting to hear what you guys come up with when it gets to presentation time. So we're going to look forward to that. You've got a lot to do between now and then, and it's good stuff. You're going to become experts, and you're going to do some research and writing, which is something we hear about consistently as far as people really being happy that they learned that skill in high school before they went on to college. And you learned a little bit about teamwork. So it's been a good day. You guys were very attentive, good interactions with Dr. Penholler. I thought that went really well. He was real happy with it and felt like you guys were a great audience. So nice job. Give yourselves a hand. Teachers, real quick, teachers, anything that we didn't cover that we need to share with these guys for project stuff? Oh, please do pick up your trash. Hey, guys. Hello. Hello. Also, please make sure every time we finish this, we're having to chase after a bus. I'm getting way too old to chase after a bus. with somebody's backpack or notebook or something, please make sure you have all of the possessions you came with, and again, that your trash is put up. Be safe. Make sure you get on the right bus.